Hey guys, today we're going to look at the accounts receivable process. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a customer, do an invoice, credit the customer, view the customer transactions, we'll send customer statements, we'll receive money, we'll refund money, we'll do write-off for bad debt, and then we'll configure recurring invoices. So let's get started. So our first thing is we'll create a new customer. So we'll go to customers, create a new customer. I'm going to do LB accountants. I'm going to create a code because it's easier if a customer does a payment. They can actually do the payment into my bank account according to the code, and then I'll easily be able to identify them. So you can also fill in the rest of the information here, which I'm not going to do today, and click create. Right, so next thing we'll do is we're going to invoice our customer. We'll go to sales invoices. We'll create a new sales invoice. Here we'll select the due date. So our due date will be Monday, and we'll select the customer, which is the customer we just selected. If you've got all that other information, this will automatically be filled in when you created the customer. So I'm going to say labor for consulting. We'll select our item, labor, and we've spent 3 hours on site. And here we can click create. And there our customer invoice is being created. So if you send this invoice to a customer, you can't just delete the invoice. So if you want to cancel an invoice, we have to issue a credit note. So we'll go to credit notes, create a new credit note. We'll go to select the customer, and here we select what we issued. So here we can now select how much credit we want to give. So we want to credit 1 hour to that existing invoice. So we can either then credit to the customer credit accounts, which will just credit the whole account, doesn't matter what the invoice is, or we can physically select the invoice, which is invoice 5, and we click create. Now for interest sake, if we go to the customer and we see there's one sales invoice, if we click on that one sales invoice, we can see that our invoice total was 4,500, the amount due is 3,000. If we click on that, we'll see the transactions. Here's the 4,500 Rand that we invoiced, and here's the 1,500 Rand that we credited. Okay, so now we quickly want to send the customer a full statement. So what we'll do is we'll go to reports. We'll click on customer statements. I'm just going to select all transactions, say from the 1st of this month till today. And here we can see LB accountants. We'll select view. And here we've got our customer statement. We can now print or email the statement to the customer. Okay, now we need to receive money from this customer. So what we'll do is we'll go to our bank accounts. We'll go to accounts. So in here, if you imported an electronic statement, you can select the transaction and just assign it to that customer credit account or assign it to that invoice. Here we're going to do it manually. So we're going to click receive money. Sorry, receive money. So I'm going to receive this money from payee, LB accountants, description, consulting, and here I'm going to select the customer credit account, because then it will automatically assign the amount that's been paid directly to the customer account instead of to the specific invoice. And we can click. So here we can see our 3,000 Rand's been paid from LP Consulting. If we go back to our sales invoices, we can see that the balance due to LP Consulting is 0. If we click on the balance due, we can now see the transactions that's been there as well. Okay, now there's been some dispute and we need to refund the customer some money. So what we'll do is we'll go to bank accounts, we'll click on our account, we'll click spend money. Here we'll click payee, which will be us. I'm just going to put there me, description, refund, consulting, LB accountants. Here again, we'll select the customer credit account. Select the customer, and here we'll say we have to refund the customer 500. And we'll click create. There we have selected the refunded the customer with 500. Okay, so now we've got an invoice from the customer, say PG Glass, and we can't get that money. We have to write that money off. So first thing we'll do is we'll create, in the chart of accounts, we'll create a bad debt account. We'll go to chart of accounts. So we'll go to liabilities. We'll create a new account there called bad debt. Write off. Okay, and we'll click create. Right, so now we can go to our invoices. Just want to show you this specific amount is what we overdue already. We're going to write that off. So what we'll do is we'll go to journal entries. We'll select a new journal entry. Here we're going to say bad debt PG Glass. Here we'll select the customer credit account, the customer PG Glass, and we said that we want to write off that 270. Here we'll select our bad debt account, and we'll debit that with it 270. Here we can put any notes that we want to put in or any reference that you've got towards that, and we can click create. And if we now go to our sales invoices, you'll see that PG Glass was 270 was deducted from that. That is because that was the last invoice and we credited it to the customer credit account. So it will write off that debt from the last invoice. So if we want to write off that debt specifically from that invoice, we can go back to our journal entry. We can go edit. We can go to our bad debt. We can specifically go to our credit accounts. Here we can select account receivable. We can select the sales invoice specifically, which was sales invoice 3, and we can click update. If we now go back to our sales invoices, we can see that that specific amount has now been deducted from sales invoice 3. So our last step would be to create a recurring invoice. If we've got a customer that takes a service from us from a monthly or yearly fee, we can create a recurring sales invoice. So what we'll do is we'll go to settings. Here we'll find recurring sales invoices. We'll create a new recurring sales invoice. Here we can select at how many intervals it should be, how many times a month or how many times per week. So, or how many months and how many weeks. Here we'll select the customer. We'll select labor. So we're going to have monthly consultant on site for 1 hour, and we'll create once a month, and we'll create the recurring invoice. And our recurring invoice is created. So these recurring invoices should come up under sales invoices. Under sales invoices here, you'll see there's one pending recurring sales invoice. If you click details, it will show a list. If you had more recurring invoices, it will show all of them. You can review them all and then click create, and it will create that sales invoice for you. And that's all.